Good afternoon. My name is Sharla Edwards, and I am submitting this presentation for the ELA tutoring positions. Again, my name is Sharla Edwards. I have spent the last 18 years in education in a variety of capacities. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in elementary ed. I am certified in K-6 education, and I have taught pre K, first grade, third grade, and fourth grade. And when I taught fourth grade, I taught the content areas of ELA and social studies only. I then transitioned to higher education and taught in a teacher preparation class, program at a 4 year university. And in that program, I taught students that were wanting to obtain education degrees in birth through kindergarten, elementary education, and middle grades. I am also always looking for opportunities to broaden my perspectives in the realm of education. Today, I want to teach a ELA lesson, and it is the standard, based on the standard of character traits, and that's what I will be looking at um, today. We will be using the book Thunder Cakes to go along with this. But instead of a book, I'm going to change it a little bit, and we're going to look at a book that's being read by but on YouTube. But let's go over our objectives for the story. The objective that we will be doing in this lesson is I will describe characters in a story, traits, motivations, or feelings, and cite evidence from the text. Again, we will have another objective. I will understand how character actions contribute to the sequence of events in a story. And these are what the students will be able to do and tell at the end of our story. What I want everyone to do now is think about a time you have been afraid. You don't have to say it, you don't have to do anything. Just think about a time that you have been afraid. We will be listening to the story of Thunder Cake. And in this story, um, we're thinking about that time you were afraid, and I want you to try to relate or try to think like Patricia and see what is happening with Patricia, and think about your time you was afraid, and then think about how did you become unafraid. And as we go through and we're looking at this story with Patricia and her grandmother, and Patricia is very afraid of storms. And we're going to find out what happens and how, if she overcomes being afraid of storms, or if she's still afraid of storms at the end of the book. Now that we've gone through and we've listened to the story, um, what would happen is these your vocabulary words that we had went over before we listened to that story. What I want to do now is, now that you've heard them used in the story, you will have your booklet, and in your booklet you will be able to add a picture regarding the word or any ideas, and then add a sentence, because now you know what the story means. We talked about the words, the vocabulary in the story. What I would like to do now is we need to go through and we talk about the character traits. We need to talk about Patricia and Patricia being afraid of the storm. Here, I want you to draw a picture of your favorite scene. And everything that you'll be able to do, you can do it on your screen, and it will come directly to me, and I will be able to look at it. How here we're gonna put how Patricia acts, and here um how Patricia feels. And I want you to tell me all of the things that you remember about a story, from your favorite part and how Patricia acts and how Patricia is feeling. And then we're going to look at Patricia. And we're going to look at her from the start of the book and from the front of the book. Is Patricia still afraid? What stopped her from being afraid? What did grandmother do to help her? So, one thing we're going to do, we're going to put here about her being afraid, and then how it changed at the end till she wasn't afraid. And then we got to write the parts in the book that told us why she was no longer afraid and why she was afraid in the beginning. We're going to look at this story. We're going to look at Patricia. We're going to look at the setting of the story, and we're going to look at grandmother. And we're going to go through, and we always have to tell about the beginning and the ending of the story. So, as we're talking about the beginning and the ending with the characters, we're going to go through and tell an event. What happened in the beginning with Patricia? What happened with Patricia and grandmother? What's all the things they did? And at the end, what happened? And what did grandmother feel like? And how did Patricia feel? And then what I want us to do is make a connection to this book. Remember, I asked you, tell me about a time when you were afraid, or even anything in the book that you can relate to, or you say, oh, that might have happened to me. We're going to talk about all of that in the story. For me, Patricia and her grandmother, when they were getting those ingredients together, it reminded me when I was cooking with my grandmother. So that was my text to myself. That was my experience that I had. And we're going to talk about either your experiences you had, another book that you read, or somebody else's experience. It's okay.